Hello, so we'll be starting the program in a few minutes time. So
Started working as a teacher
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shubala James, and I'll be your host for tonight. I hope we are doing good. I hope our day went well. I hope we're all enjoying our weekends. And just in case you're not enjoying your weekend, let me just tell you, me, I'm enjoying my own. So maybe I'm enjoying for all of us, right? I'm enjoying for the 50. Oh, we're more than 50 people on this call. That's so amazing. Thank you all for joining. It's such a pleasure to have you all here. You can tell your friends that are not here to join in, or if you know anybody that is meant to be here, tell them to join in. If you know somebody that is applying for global internship, please tell them to come here. Oh my god, thank you so much for that compliment. I really appreciate it. Now I'm blushing. Anyways, please, so you should tell your friend I want to apply for global internship. They should come and join this call. Me, I'm even here for this reason. At least me say I want japa. So we'll be starting exactly 7:05. I have my speakers on call already. Oh wow, we already have 93 people on this call. That's fantastic. Also, for your friends that might be unable to join due to the fact that they might be coming in late, you can tell them that we are live. So yes, we are streaming this session live. That's to tell you that MSA don't play about you guys, right? So I'm going to have my first speaker on call. Let me just tell you what today is basically about. So we are bringing to you global and African internship opportunities, right? How to apply, how to go about it, their experiences, observations, all those things you need to know, those keys, those tappings, those lock-ins, those plugins. Today we'll be looking at the global part, meaning that the people that interned at Bank of America, they are going to be talking to us today. Tomorrow is for the Africa and local internship. So tomorrow we are going to be having people talking to us about internships you can apply for in Nigeria and other African states. Right. So today on this call I have Chidera, I have Hamnat, and I have Oyolua. So they're going to be talking to us about global internship opportunities. First off, I'm going to start with Chedera. So as not to under introduce them, I would allow each speaker to tell you hmm, what the intern has, like their role at Bank of America. Then they'll tell you, all I say is they'll tell you how they applied for it. They'll tell you what they noticed while applying for it. Don't worry, guys. We are going to be telling you a lot of things. I'm going to tell you my experience. I'm going to expose myself today, and I hope you guys don't laugh, right? Please. So, Chidera, kindly confirm if you're on this call.
Hi everyone, good evening. Let me see if I can briefly turn on my camera so you know that I'm real.
You want to show us your real face, Abby? You want to distract us with your fine face? I'm about to know that I'm real.
Okay. Net Network no green make it come up. But
Be
yeah,
like say
good
network
evening
no make you
everybody.
distract us. Anyways, I Chidera is such a wonderful moment to have you here. I will not even lie. So you have the ground for 10 minutes so that we can take questions. You have the ground for 10 minutes. So you guys, this is how we are going to be doing it. Chidera, please allow me. We are meant to take questions immediately after every speaker, but to save us more time and so that I don't want a question to be repeated twice. I want you guys to have an idea from three different perspectives, right? So that you are going to, maybe you might even realize that the question you might want to ask Chidera, I mean, that's might have unintentionally answered it in a whole section. So after the three speakers are spoken, we will now have the Q&A sections. Now in that Q&A section, you let me know who you are directing your question to. Maybe you want to ask Hamina a question. You say, "Oh, my question goes to Hamina." Then I'm going to read out your question. So to avoid chaos and disorderliness, I would prefer everybody type their question in the chat box. I'm going to be reading it out personally. Please, I don't want to hear somebody playing Ashake in the background. That is why I don't want us to unmute our mics. So after the three speaker, we're going to be taking Q&As. I want everybody to listen, please, so that you will ask them. See, you have to ask them questions that will shake them. Question that I'm now first of all think and be like, I'm watching. I mean, this person has this question. She now have to like think before she now give you the correct answer. Do you get? Don't ask them question that even me I can answer you. Please, I beg you. We should not come. I want you to ask these people questions because they're too proud. No can no lie. But yeah, that's about it. So let's listen to our speaker speak. Get your questions ready because even me I have questions. Chidera, you have the floor. 10 minutes, please.
Um Hi Jibola. So sadly, I'm not quite sure how you want me to start. So if you could give me a direction, I'd be happy to go in that.
Oh, all right, my bad. For every of my speakers, I'm not Oreloa. So you're going to start with your name, your role. Then you're going to tell us your experience at Bank of America. You're going to tell us the processes, how you applied. Basically, I went through all your profiles, and personally, I've attended a lot of global internship opportunity sections, and I permit me to say, but I kind of like hear the same thing all over and over again. But as someone that has experience applying for these things, trust me, they can be difficult, right? They can be very, very difficult because you don't even know what to expect when you're applying for global internships. So you are going to tell us just tell us how it was applying for you, what you did, what you were
Okay.
advised not to do, right? when you started, what did you notice? Now, after you started, so there might have been some things that you have noticed that you have said, "Oh, if I had known now," some things that you don't want any other person to do, maybe those mistakes and all of that. So you are going to tell us the do's and the don'ts, the processing, your experience, and just observations, what you notice, what you think we can do better. That's basically it. Thank you.
Okay. Nepa just took light, of course.
We're in
Anyway,
Nigeria.
which is something I might talk about when I finally get there, right?
Please do, please
Um,
do.
Hi everybody. My name is Chidera Osei. I am a 400 level student, incoming 400 level student of insurance at the University of Lagos. And I have just most recently completed a summer internship at Bank of America. And if at any point in time, guys, you cannot hear me due to network or anything, just let me know and I will turn off my video. If my own network start disturbing, so that's just what I'll do. I'll just turn off my video. Okay, so like I was saying, I'm a 400 level student of insurance at the University of Lagos. Over this summer, so from June to the ending of August, I completed a summer internship at Bank of America in the Global Markets Operations Division, and I'm super happy to tell you about what my experience was, how you can do it as well, and what will stand out for you. So Jibola says I have 10 minutes. I tend to speak a lot. So let's assume that I started at 7:12 and I would end this at 7:22. Um, so first off, the application period and the application, right? The first thing that I did was to browse about different companies. So I went to on the website for Bank of America, checked their website, kind of went through all their different divisions just to know which um, role is good or suitable for me, right? After that, I did the same for Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Barclays, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, all of the global banks that had openings last year. I was checking them out just so I understand or I know more about these companies and what role is best for me. So that's the beginning part. You want to browse about the company. You want to browse about the different divisions and then know which one your skill set is perfect for. That's the first place to start. So it's not like, oh, investment banking guys are earning 100 million in a year and you're about the money. You now go and put your head there when you don't have the skills for it, right? Or market guys are earning this amount in a year and then you think that that's the best place for you. No, the thing that you might want to consider doing is putting your foot in the door first, and that's by leaning towards a division or a role that is that allows you to effectively apply your current skill sets. So I mean the application period for me started with my online application. So I went to their website after I decided that global operations was where I wanted to go, and I'd had tons of conversations with people who had interned at different divisions and different areas of the bank and in different banks as well. And so I went on, did the online application, which requires you to fill in your personal details, so your name, your school. They will ask about your jam. They'll ask about your CGPA. So basically, you fill in all the personal details information, and then you typically have an essay question to answer. Last year, my essay questions was, why Bank of America and why the division I was applying to, which is why global operations, right? But this year, from the people who have applied already, I hear they are asking a slightly different question, which is, how do you utilize your academic and professional experience, or how do you intend to utilize your academic and professional experience and the division you're applying to, and why are you interested in an internship in the banking sector? So I hear those are the two essays that applicants are answering this year. So for me, last year, after I'd done, I made sure that my CV had, I mean, I've become something of a CV expert myself now, following the number of CVs I've had to review. But I had to learn that process because last year my CV went through, oh my God, I've lost count of how many people reviewed my CV and how many versions of my CV I had before I applied, because you have to make sure that you're putting in the best application. and that not even something like your CV is standing in your way, right? So after I had my CV uploaded, I gave the answers to the essay questions, I hit submit. So the next stage for the application period is your higher view. You do an higher view interview. Now, higher view interview is typically a pre-recorded interview where you somebody comes on your screen, asks you a question, and then you have 30 seconds to prepare yourself, and about 1 minute 30 seconds or to 2 minutes, or 1 to 2 minutes to reply or to give your answer. So a higher view interview, which is HIREVUE, higher view. You can browse about that on Google as well on this call. Helps you to, that's like your basically your first stage of interview for the applications and the application basically. So it's that like your first stage interview. Right after hire view, if you're good enough or the bank thinks you worthy to be on the internship, you get assessment center. Assessment center is now your live interview. Assessment center has about 3 stages for me. It differs depending on the division that you're applying to, but for global market operations, it was 3 stages. It was the presentation stage, then the behavioral slash competence. So it's either called behavioral or competence. And then the final stage was the technicals. That's for your assessment center after you have made it through your higher view, right? So your presentation, basically, they give you a question or a case study and then tell you to, last year it was, okay, what is the role of operations within an investment bank? And so I created a presentation slide based on that and then gave a presentation during my interview. Behavioral and competence is an aspect of your assessment center that tries to test your value fit with the bank. So does your value align? Are you the stuff that you're looking for? Aside from work, aside from you being book smart, aside from you being first class, do you have the attitude to work at a global bank? Do you have the attitude to interact with people? So you will get questions like, tell me about a time when you worked in a team. Tell me about a time when you led a team. Tell me about a time when you had to, manage conflicting data. Tell me about a time when you worked with a client. What is your biggest accomplishment? What do you know about leadership? You get questions like that you could get during behaviorals. Now, technical, which is the last part of your assessment center, tries to test your technical knowledge. So if you are applying for investment banking, what do you know about DCF? What do you know about interest rate? What do you know about mergers and acquisition? What do you know about IPOs, right? If you're applying for global operations, they want to know, what do you know about operations? What do you know about risk? What do you know about the different kind of risk that are being managed within the bank? They want to know what you know about data management, right? Because these are some of the areas within operations. They want to know your accounting knowledge as well to an extent, depending. You rarely get questions about accounting, but then depending on the area that you find yourself in, they might, want to test your knowledge on that, right? So that's the part about technical. It's trying to test your technical knowledge with regards to the division you're applying to. If you're applying to HR, for example, they want to know, do you know about the HR structure within the bank? What exactly is an HR structure? What is organization? What are the different areas within HR that you probably know? Do you get? So stuff like that are questions that you might get during technical, just basically trying to test your technical knowledge. So for me, I realized I have about 3 minutes to go on this. For me, after I had passed my assessment center, then you get an offer. So I've basically walked you through the application period. So you first do your research, decide what division you are trying to apply to. You do your online application, do your essay, make sure your CV is solid. Then you do higher view. In higher view, you get asked 5 questions. I hear this year is 3 questions. So during my time, I got asked 5 questions. And then they're trying to know, tell me about yourself. This is a general question. You will always get this question when you're taking higher view for Bank of America Summer Analyst Internship, right? For other roles, I'm not quite sure, but for that, you would always get the tell me about yourself. So right after that, there is your assessment center. So if you make it through what's it called, your online application and higher view, you get assessment center. Assessment center comprises of 3 stages. So there is technicals, there is behavioral competence, and then there's presentation stage. So after that, if you're successful through all of these stages, then you get an offer. Now the bank would call you typically within 2 weeks after your sometimes, to be honest, lesser than that, but typically within a week, 2 weeks of your assessment center or your live interview, they will call you to let you know if you've gotten an offer or not. So when you've gotten an offer, then that's the rest of the road, right? So I have 1 more minute. My experience was really, really interesting. So over summer, I worked in the global markets client onboarding team within global markets operations. So within operations, I was in the global markets client onboarding team. So what my team do in client onboarding was, when there are institutions or firms or companies that are hoping to trade with the Bank of America, my team is responsible for onboarding that client. You know how you want to start a new job, and then there's a team of people. Usually when you're trying to start a new job, people that are in learning and development are the ones that onboard you. So as a new hire, you have to know what this company is about, what are your do's and don'ts, basically all the information you need to know about the company is what you get during your onboarding. So that's exactly what my team does for the bank with its clients. So before a client comes in, we tend to onboard this client, and this goes through AML KYC processes. You have to check that these clients, they are not fraudulent, the business that they are bringing to us is not illegal. We're checking all of these things, we're checking their backgrounds, we're checking everything about the company to just know better about them before we onboard them into the bank. Because if we don't do these processes, then the bank can get fined, and it's a whole lot of other legal issue or regulatory issues. So that's the team that I worked in during global markets operations. I was in Bromley, London for about 10 weeks, and then we came back towards in the final week of August. So yeah, that's it about my experience. I might talk more about it much later, but I've exceeded 1 minute, so I'll give the microphone back to Jibola. Thank you.
Would you like to conclude? Chidera, would you like to conclude?
Oh, yes, why not? So for me, in conclusion, I'd say when it comes to applying for the internship, I don't know what caliber of people we have on the call, but here is a very solid idea for or advice for people who are in 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, even 400 level, right? Depending on the level that you are in right now. If you're looking to apply for these summer internships, I'll advise you have volunteer experiences. A lot of times people who come to me say, oh, I don't have this experience, I don't have work experience, I don't have that experience, I don't have this experience. But there are clubs on your campus. Take University of Lagos, for example. I would assume that there are people from other schools on this call. So, but take University of Lagos, for example. There's ISEC in Lagos. I was a member of ISEC in Lagos for a while. There's JCIN. There's the Investment Society, of course, the Almighty Investment Society, right? There is the tax club. There are like different clubs or associations, organizations that you can be a part of. So use that opportunity to build volunteer experience, right? If your friend is hoping to create something or create a project or an initiative, try and see how you can be a part of that. All of this is so that you can build experience. All of this is so that when they ask you, oh, what is this? Or when they ask you, what's your experience doing this? You're not just turning on blank, like, oh, in a club or organization, you definitely want to be in one. Another advice I'd give is when you're applying for this internship, what you want to do is reach out to people who have been there before. I mean, I've just interned this year, and thankfully, Aminat Giwa is on this call, and she'll be speaking soon as well. I'd reached out to Aminat and I asked her, oh, and she was so nice and so kind and very, very helpful. But it was for global markets. It wasn't even necessarily applicable to me, but I wanted to get an idea of what the general process was like. So it doesn't matter who it is that you're looking for. Once you identify what division you want to go into, just try to talk to as many people as possible. Do your research, practice higher view questions. So this is my top tip. I tell people before you hit submit on your application, make sure you have practiced higher view questions for that particular role, so that when you sit down with your laptop or basically your laptop most of the time, when you sit down in front of your screen, you're not blank, you're not stuttering, you're not mumbling. You have prepared, you are ready for what they want to ask you. And even if they throw any question at you that doesn't seem like a question you were expecting, because you have practiced, God will just make it all work. And this is fact, right?
True.
So yeah, those are my tips for now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dara, for that section. Everybody, please, can we virtually give a round of applause to Chidera? Thank you so much. I want to believe you have your questions ready. No. Okay, for those just joining this call, you are if anybody on mute mic again, remove it so that other people can enter the session. But yeah, thank you for clapping, precious. Anyways, for those just joining this call, you are not unmuting your mic to ask a question. I want you to ask a question in the chat box. So I said that at the end of the session, when our three speakers are spoken, you are going to direct your question to somebody because they're going to be speaking on different things. Because basically, it seems like you didn't say everything. Now I'm thinking about another question to ask. I mean, I know this is not good, but okay, fine. I get you. Anyways, I hope you guys jotted a lot of things. I hope you got a lot of things from that. Please, don't miss this for anything. I said I was going to expose myself, but that let's keep it for later. Now, Oroluwa, I don't even at this point. There's a question I want to ask Ore. Ore, please unmute your mic and let me know that you are with me on this call. I mean, I can see you there, but I want to know if you are here.
Yes, I am. Good evening,
Good
Kibola.
evening, Kufoyi. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
All right. So basically, this is my question. Shara has told us about the application process. She has told us about her experience. She even told us about the role, what her role entails, and all of that. And I don't want you to come and tell us the same thing, right? Now, this is what I noticed concerning this global internship thingy. As sweet as it is to tell people to come and apply, as amazing as it is to apply for global internship. And now this is me speaking from personal experience. So there was a time I applied for internship, right? Global internship, Jeffries to be specific, Jeffries. And I didn't get it basically. And I had my friends help me on that. But I feel like there is a but to this thing. Let's say for people that how would you advise somebody that doesn't know why they want to apply for global internship on how to go about it? Like I have people that says, oh, to go for Bank of America is nice, to go for Goldman is nice, to go for JP Morgan is nice. But what if I am interested, but at the same time I don't feel interested. I don't know if you get me. Now it can be tedious, right? It can be so taxing. The process is long. Can like very long and discouraging. Now, for somebody that is not really interested in global internship, but at the same time, person is looking up to go into that opportunity, what would you tell the person from your own experience? Because I think I have an idea of when you started applying for this thing. I think so because I knew there was a point where everything was you were tired at the point, but like how did it help you during the processing? Like what motivated you? What kept you going? Like how did you do it? Basically, that is my question. I just want to see your perspective concerning this global internship opportunity thingy. Chidera mentioned you should go for roles that suit your skills, your current skills per se. But what if I'm not interested, but I want to go for global internship? I want to struggle to apply for global internship, but my current skill is not enough. What would you tell me?
Okay, thank you, Jibola. So firstly, I want to do a quick summary. I don't think we have too many people that are happy with the way Nigeria is, and I don't think there will be too many people that want to continue their life in the country. So that's a big motivating factor. But so let me just give a brief overview of the kind of person I am. And I think people that are probably like me would be able to relate. So I'm someone who likes to compete. I'm someone who likes to let me know that even if I'm not going to win, let me know that I can be able to compete. And global applications. So for
I
people
already,
who are
already, already, I'm so sorry to
yeah,
cut you off, but Abdul Kudus and Johan, I can see your hands up, and I know you guys want to ask questions. Can you please drop your question in the chat box? Thank you so much. All right, you have the floor. Go ahead.
all right. So I said that I'm someone who likes to compete. I'm someone who likes to, even if I'm not going to win, I want to know that, okay, at least I can level up to these people, I can level up to this thing. Now, there's the general overview that Africa is underdeveloped, general overview that um, universities in Africa, you cannot match up to the universities abroad. That's a very big motivation for me. So that was one of my motivations for applying to this global internship. Now, let me also bring it from this point of view. Why you are applying for anything, why you're interested in anything is very, very important. Now, if you are saying that, so your question was came to me as someone who is not even interested. Now, there are lots of things that will make you interested, from the exposure to the so ideally you're not really paying anything to get global exposure, to leave the country, to work in the corporate world or to get experience. Now, global exposure in the sense that you get to meet people from other parts of the world. You get to compete with students, compete in a positive manner, get to compete with other students, get to see other perspectives. That's something that should interest anybody, in my own opinion. Aside from the fact that you are most likely going to be going abroad. So that was my first time going abroad, although there were times when I was supposed to, but that was my first time actually now landing in another country, and that was a very good experience for me. Aside the tourism and everything, was a good way to at least go out. You know that you will see a better system, you see a working system. That's enough motivation for most people. I think if you are applying for a particular opportunity and you know the benefits and the cost. So generally, you said the tax scheme is tiring, but you have to do a cost and benefit analysis. And I assure you, there is no amount of sacrifice, there is no amount of cost that outweighs the benefits of getting a global internship. That is that's a big tested and trusted hypothesis. I don't think anybody wants to prove me wrong, but I think if it's burning candles, staying up late to follow the market, to practice your IR view, to craft your CV, to get rejected from other firms, once you get it, that's like a big win that covers all the losses. So international internships are something that um, I wait to really compensate for the previous losses in years past. Now, when I started, so I got to know about international internships at a very early period of my life. I saw people who went abroad, not before I even got to the university. I saw people who went abroad for research, who got jobs abroad. And I just, over as I was growing, as I got into the university, I already knew that things like this um, exist. So in my first year was actually the first time I applied to Bank of America. So I applied for the sophomore. Okay, it was my first year going to my second year. So I applied for the sophomore internship. So there's this sophomore program that they have for, but it's mainly for people in the US. And obviously, I was still a young chap, didn't really know so much about it. So I just sent in a shabby, I won't call it shabby because the application actually went far. So I'll just say a not so good application. and I got a positive follow up. So after I sent the application, I got someone reached back to me and said that, oh, um, my application was good, but they would want to consider me for another program. And it was quite interesting till it finally fell through. Obviously, when it fell through, I was disappointed. If there's another word that is higher than disappointed, I probably was that. So I got experience. That's the first thing. So if you faced rejections, if you faced rejections, disappointments, it's not the end of the line. That's a learning phase. That's a learning curve. It's always going to go up. That's if you learn from that curve. So I got rejections at that point. Then the next year I re-strategized. I didn't really know what I was doing in my first year. All I knew was I had some aunties and uncles telling me that, oh, apply for this internship, apply for that internship. These banks, they generally bring really smart kids abroad. So I looked at it and I looked at some of the firms that actually, um, I even looked at some of the firms that actually sponsored visas. So that's something that I feel people should actually consider because there are some firms that don't sponsor visas in certain locations. So even last year, I had an issue with Goldman. So last year, I sort of made it to, I got Bank of America and I almost got Goldman, but I didn't really read the instructions. I didn't really read well, not that I didn't really read it. I read it, but I think I missed it or it probably wasn't there. I don't know. So I first looked at firms who actually sponsored visas because I don't really have so much to sponsor myself abroad. So that's before you even apply, do your research, look at the firms that actually would sponsor visa. There's no point in having a dream to go to one firm when the firm will not sponsor you're going there. So that's a very big thing to have in mind. So I looked at those firms and I picked them. I picked Bank of America. I picked quite a number of firms. And from there I looked at, okay, what am I good at? I was I was good at, well, quite a number of things, but I was mostly interested in finance. I was interested in stuff that goes on in the markets, in the financial environment. And I was just trying to build myself small, small, trying to listen to the news. So I grew up with this culture of always listening to the news, listening to business news on so many stations. So those are stuff that actually grew with me from when I was still little. Till I got to meet some really amazing people. Amina is on this call, and she was the one that introduced me to the investment society. So my apologies, but I'm always going to preach TIS everywhere I go. So she introduced me to the investment society, said, it's a student finance club where you get to meet people, talk about the market, talk about things that happen in the world of finance. And that was my jackpot. That was what I was looking for. So she introduced me to the Investor Society in December 2022. So I started to attend their meetings by January, just basically, and I got to enjoy it. I got to see that, wow, this is actually what I've been looking for. My point here is you have to be interested. And to keep that interest, you have to look for ways to actually feed the interest. Now in 2022, I joined the society. I was still nursing my drive for global internships. Then I got to discover that, oh, there are quite some number of people in the society that have actually gotten these things, these internships. So this is where experience comes to play. Nothing really beats experience. You might have felt disappointed, you might have gotten rejections before. You have your own experience. It's also good to have the experience of people who actually made it. If you can be able to join those two together, I think for your next application, it's going to be it's going to be 10 times, 10 times, okay, 5 times out of 10. It's always going to be almost 100% better than your previous application, except if you don't put the effort. So I met people who had done it before. I got to understand why they got it, what they did differently, and just to be around them in general, just hanging in there, trying to study, trying to improve on your own, trying to be observant. And even as a non-member, I was always like, because I was passionate about it, and that's another thing that should come into play. So I've said, do your research, learn from experience, have interest and passion. Interest and passion. The thing is, even at the interview stage, they will know if you are passionate about it. And you can only be passionate about something when you prepare, or you can only showcase your passion about something when you prepare. So basically, the Investment Society had a huge contribution to me. They developed me um, personally and professionally. I'm always going to emphasize that. So for people who have gotten rejections before, and okay, let me not bust your bubble. You've gotten rejections before. It's not guaranteed that you will not get rejections again. But what is guaranteed is you still have the option to try again. You might have been rejected before, but you still have the option. It's just like a wounded lion. As long as it's not dead, it can still get back up. It can still get healed. So it's just to sit back, re-strategize, try and look at what went wrong here, what went wrong there. Was it my research? Was it that there was something I still didn't know? Was it that I'm not putting in so much passion? And as I've always said, the benefits always outweigh the cost. So in terms of incentives and motivations, you want to get motivated to apply for global internship. I think the Nigerian economy is enough motivation for anybody to look to. I don't really like the idea of calling it greener pastures, but with the way the Nigerian economy is going, I want to say just look at another perspective of finance. I don't want to call it greener pastures. That's enough motivation. You get to be amongst people who I want to call us world changers, because these guys are very smart in their own way, and you get to be among them. Do you that sort of confidence that it gives you is really, really up there. It's just like getting admitted into Harvard. You know that anybody that gets admitted into Harvard is obviously very,
Hmm.
would obviously be quite knowledgeable. So it's
Hmm.
good to be in that environment. And I think those are things that would generally motivate you and should motivate you to get back on your horse.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, alright. Who else feel motivated? Oh, actually, me, I don't go apply for this next year like this. I go reason. Anyways, alright, we really, really appreciate these inputs. Really, really appreciate this perspective. I don't even lie. You guys, I just came up with that question on the spot because I feel like Chidera has told us a lot of things, right? Why not just, me personally, I've seen a lot of people that are like, oh, they want to apply for this internship, but wanting. There are some times whereby when you are so used to convenience, you have no business saying that you have a purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? So basically, Ore just gave us a very good insight, and I want us to hold that in our left hand so that we know easy to eat. And if you are a left-handed person that use your left hand to eat, please hold it in your right hand. If you have questions for Ore, please in the chat box. I can see the questions we have for Chidera, and I'm going to ask her very soon. Please drop your questions in the chat box. And if there are no questions, I want to believe that we all understood this. So at the end of today's session, you people will start applying for Bank of America internship, you start applying for Goodman, you start applying for all these people internship. I want to believe that. Now, moving on to the star of the day. Amina name has been mentioned like 150 times today. I never see any name where they don't mention for this call, Rich Amina's name, a whole TIS president. In case you guys don't know, the Investment Society, University of Lagos, Aminat Giwa is the president. Ha! My madam, my boss, my O01, my OG. Amina used to motivate me, let me not lie. So before she comes up, because I have a question I want to ask her. and it's a lot. Amina, can you please mute your mic and let me know that you are with us? Your Excellency, ma.
Hello, Jibola. I mean, I was just in my mind. I was like, who's this person you're calling? Because it's not me. Because
Yeah.
you say I'm a motivator. I don't know that. I don't
Yeah,
know that.
and you're lying. If you can
Hi.
say Amina's face is shining.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, so
That's
hi
what global people used to
everyone.
do. I'm fine.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Aminat Diwa. Yes, I currently lead the Investment Society, and I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
have heard about it a lot.
Let me clap.
It
Let me
was a
clap.
pure coincidence because I mean we didn't plan it to come here to talk about the investment society. So yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, so I interned at Bank of America, the Global Markets Division last summer, which was last year. And I currently intern at or I work at Consonance Investment Management. So I kind of work as an investment and operations intern for now. So that's the brief about me, and yeah, I look
Oh,
forward
yeah,
to
I mean, before
the rest.
Amina run away from her question, let me ask her a question. So let me give you guys a gist. The reason why I wanted Aminat to be the last person to speak is because Aminat currently has experience in both global internship and local internship. So she's going to an extent, I didn't want to bring it here, but our question is going to like give us a perspective to a lot of things. So Chidera mentioned something. I think I like the fact that Chidera was the first person to start this session. So she said that our current skill should match the role we are going for. And as someone who currently lead the investment society, and as someone who will have seen a lot of CVs, a lot of resumes, and I'm sure you are like how I put this without sounding this thing. But I'm sure like you've experienced a lot of people skills, you've experienced a lot of people trying to apply for some things, making some errors, some mistake, and all of that. Now, this is my question to you. As somebody who is doing excellently well in the finance industry currently, and you're a very, very good achiever with a very, very excellent track record, because I went through your LinkedIn page. What can you tell us about internships? I'm not even going to say global and local right now. I want you to tell us more about this skill of an issue, because skill is actually an issue. Let's not even lie. Personally, so I was applying for Goodman last year. Was it last year? Yeah, last year March. So I got this mail from Goodman March 2023, and I was applying for it, right? But I know deep down that I don't have the skill to apply for it. And number two, I know how rigorous it's going to be, even if by some luck my mother's prayers were answered and I got chosen. I know that I'm going to flop at the place because I don't have the skill set. Let's not even lie. I'm not a finance person, right? I even struggle with a lot of finance words, right? I struggle with because Chidera was mentioning some things, and I'm like, "Ibo let it go, gbogbo ele." Like, do you know what I'm saying? Because there are a lot of people on this call that don't even know what they can do, don't even know how they can do some things. Everybody just feel like, yeah, I can apply for this so far I'm determined, I have hard work and all of that. But it actually doesn't work that way, because when you get there, I mean, I went through Benga's and Mariam's experience last year. They were striking us a lot. And I know that they were doing presentations. I know that there were a lot of taxing things that they were doing, that the point when I was feeling educated in Nigeria. And I'm like, okay, I'm so glad I was not chosen, because I'll have made a lot of errors. So like, can you just tell us about that particular aspect of this internship? The fact that if you don't have if you're not suited for it, I don't know, would you just say that if somebody is not suited for a particular role, you should not just apply for it, right? Or if you're not a finance person, don't apply for it. Or like, what will you just tell us? That's just my question, basically. Because now I'm lost. I'll not even lie.
Okay. I don't know, where should I exactly start from. So let me just start from you applying for a role that you probably have a skill for. So somebody said, this is somebody in the industry. So I was talking to someone and she said that, do you know that majority of the time, male, or let's just say the male gender, they kind of apply for the role, even though maybe they just have like 20% of the requirement. But majority of the time, if a female doesn't have 100%, they might not apply for the role. So that just stuck to my mind now, and I'm thinking that's probably one of the reasons why you're talking like you're saying this. So I'll just say that when you look at the requirements, majority of it things that come together for you to make a internship, let's say opportunity. It's not just the skill, right? So a lot of companies you'll be hearing questions like, why do you want to work with us? Why are you applying to the bank? Why are you applying to um, the firm rather? So they want to know generally if you're a good fit for them and if they're a good fit for you. So that's one of the major things that you should actually determine first. So if you determine that, you will probably, the skill is not a huge gap. You can always learn. They're looking for people that can learn, people that are really curious, people that can learn on the job, that can go extra mile, be very, very inquisitive. So if you have that, obviously, even if you don't have 100% of the skill, maybe you just have like 30%, you can always make up for that gap. Just know that you have like the fundamentals, and that's like the requirement for internships. So if you're going into investment banking, you're required to have the fundamentals for investment banking. You can't tell them that you don't know what an M&A is, you don't know like the current stuff going around, you don't know what an investment bank does. I mean, those are like the basic things, right? So you need to know that. So, Tibola. Okay, I would know that for now. So, yeah, that's just the basic things for you applying. Then, let's say on the role, right? On the role. So let's say you probably don't know too much about it. Honestly, there's a lot of trainings that these firms do. They don't just shove the role down your throat and expect you to just go with it. So majority of the times they're always like graduate trainees or internship trainings. And I'm very sure Orelua and Chidera, they can definitely relate to this, that you have like, a week or 2 weeks worth of training, like general trainings before you go into the role. Then even on the role, they're always like organizing sessions, organizing workshops for you, and you can also shadow people who work on the same role as you, so you can learn more from them. So these are like ways in which you can just like cover up for that skill gap, instead of just like saying, oh, because I don't have the skill, I don't think I can actually apply for this role. So what you want to do is first check the firm that you're applying to. Make sure you have a genuine interest, you have a genuine connection with this firm. So let's say, take an example, Bank of America. You need to have like a genuine interest in the bank. So if they're saying, oh, I'm interested in the bank, what part or what particular aspect of the bank are you interested in? You need to be able to drive home that point. They need to see that you're actually really passionate about working with them. So it's not just about your role itself. That it's more like the people's factor. They believe that if they hire the right person, whatever role, whatever skill gap that the person have, they can work with the person can always learn and relearn. But if you kind of register or you kind of hire the wrong person from the start, you can't work with that. So that's why like management and employees are super, super important to most of these firms. So that's what I would say for that. Then I think, yeah, Jibola, the second part of your questions, I think, yeah, local internships as well as global internships. I would say, yeah, I don't have, what I said before now, I didn't have too much of what I say paid experience. So you're like, oh, you're saying this on my profile, you're saying this. Majority of the things I did before, let's say last year, were like pro bono. So if you know what pro bono is, it means that you're not getting paid. So it's more like freelance. But it's for the skills, right? So you see a lot of opportunities and they're probably not paid. So you might just like ignore it. So I don't think you should ignore those kind of things, right? So if you see that, oh, you're looking for, let's say, an operations intern at this, let's say maybe a startup, for example, you need to like say, okay, I think I want to try this. It's not a paid opportunity, but I think this is something I want to do to learn just for the skill, right? So you can have that opportunity. And I think that's what majority of the firms are kind of big on. People who take initiative. So because you don't have access to paid opportunities, did you just sit down or stay relaxed, kind of waiting for the opportunity to meet you? Or did you go the extra mile to actually get the opportunities that actually give you that skill? So that's something that people actually look at. And honestly, if I was reviewing CV so and I come across somebody that doesn't have, like, the person has tons of volunteer experiences and probably don't have any paid experience, I'll be very, very interested in that kind of candidate, because it's like you created opportunities for yourself. So they always say something like, opportunities are created, they don't just fall on your lap, right? So a part of it is about luck, but at the same time, you need to create opportunities for you. You make the resources available to you work for you. So I mean, God created us in this earth and gave us several resources, right? So you need to make sure that that those resources work for you, not the other way around, right? So that's something you can also do, and this applies to both global internships and local internships. And I think I'll have to like state something here, right? So for people that probably don't get global internships, you should make sure that you actually push for the local internship too. You get a lot of opportunities trying to speak or take that initiative for local internship. Reach out to people, make sure that you just like doing all you can to actually get the best value you can get during your school years. Because trust me, after school, you wouldn't have too much of opportunities like this. They'll be like, oh, majority of these things you can do it in your school years. Why didn't you do it? And the likes and the likes. So you should definitely try that. And an example of some of these volunteer things are like, the Investment Society, ISEC in Lagos, a lot of JCI, Rotaract, a lot of clubs actually. So you would do some of the things in these clubs or this society that actually works outside in the outside world. So let's say I go with an ISEC experience now. I'll probably have worked with tons of people, different teams and the likes. And for example, the investment society now, I would have done research, I would have done divisional tax, and the likes and the likes. So if I'm trying to drive on my point that, I'm interested in the bank because I love research, for example, I can take up a skill from the things that I've learned in the investment society, for example. So it's not that hard. So as people think it should be. So a lot of people think that, if you don't have, let's say, a paid experience, a professional working experience, I call it professional working experience, right? So if you don't have it, you probably don't able to do anything. But trust me, my first professional working experience was at Bank of America last year. So a lot of people would think, maybe she has, professional experiences before then. Maybe that's an added advantage. Trust me, it's not. So just make sure that you actually know what you want from the bank, to be very specific about it, and the rest is just history. So I think that's it for me.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any other question, or maybe I answered your question, Jibola.
Yes, there is one particular question I want to ask you, and this one that you came dressed up for this session. It seems like you'll be able to answer this question. So, Amina, what looking at your experience, right? What do you think you could have done better?
All right, tricky question, but I think coming let's say off from the global internship last year and all. So I kind of had a lot of reflections about things that could have gone better, things I could have done better and the likes. And honestly, there's no matter how good your experience was, you would definitely have things to like take a notch further, if not change actually. So I would say one of those things was I think I could have connected with much more people than I actually did, right? So, in the sense that I did connect with a lot of people, but I'm just saying, like, the wealth of connection that you gain from the internship is something that is super important. It's like a huge part of the internship. So, as an intern, you're forced to network with people, you're forced to speak with people. Don't think that it's kind of don't think that it's kind of really stressful. Don't think it's like it's a stressful thing. Just think about it as something that would really help you in the long run, right? So a lot of relationships in the financial sector, for example, it's built on the kind of relationships you can forge with people. So that's basically it. I think I would have done better by connecting with people, going out more. I didn't do a lot of socials, right? I wasn't a social person, but like there were a lot of social gatherings I could have just attended or forced myself to attend and stuff like that, and I would have made a lot of connections from that. So yeah, if I would have done something better, I would say it's like networking, like doing the social part of things too. So you don't just want to walk all through. You need to like take the social aspect too, quite important. I think that's a comment.
Thank you so much, Hamnat, for that input, for that perspective, for those answers. We really appreciate them. So, please, a virtual round of applause for Hamnat. Thank you so much. All right, let's go into the chat box and ask our questions. Thank you so much for clapping for our speakers. Please, you should clap for our speakers very well. If not, I will not call your questions. Clap, 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 clap. If I let me also clap. Yes, since I learned something. Yes. Please drop your question in the chat box. If I do not see you only have like few minutes to take question. If I don't see your question, I will skip it. Let's go to the first question. So this is my first question. Chidera, this question goes to you. Um, if I let me tell you guys something. If I notice that your question is kind of similar to what somebody is asking, I will not take it. I'll just merge it together. Please, is that fine? Thank you. I'm glad that we all agree to this. Chidera, the first question says, okay, I saw the question. Okay. So the question says, who funds your trip and
and
accommodation?
accommodation.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Wait, somebody needs to
Wait,
unmute
somebody
their
needs
mic.
to mute their mic.
Tell me, can you please unmute your mic? Oh my god, thank you so much. I was scared at the point. All right, so Chidera, my question is, hope Chidera is here. Chidera, can you please unmute your mic?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm still here.
So the question says, who funds this trip, right? Who funds these trips? Because I'm looking for the second one. So the is a two in one
Okay.
question. Wait, is a two in one question. Who fund these trips, and does it require to have a maximum amount of money? Do you get? So the person is asking who funds the trip and the accommodations, and does it require having a maximum amount of money? Please, 1 minute to answer this question.
Okay. Thank you for the time frame. The bank would typically fund your flight and visa expenses. So not all of the time, like Ore rightly mentioned earlier, not all of the banks sponsor your flight and your visa. I know Ore had mentioned that earlier. And it's not all the locations that have sponsorship. So depending on where you're applying to within the bank, what location, what company itself that you're applying to, the bank would typically let you know if they are sponsoring your flight and your visa. With regards accommodation, so interesting things have happened, right? So I mean, during the time when I had internship last year, they got sponsored for accommodation, but myself and already did an internship this year and we didn't get accommodation sponsorship, right? So the good part for me was I stayed with my friend's sister who was in the UK, and her house wasn't so far away from the office for me, so that was how I was able to save on that accommodation costs. But I don't know how it is next year. But for us, there was no accommodation sponsorship. Who knows? I don't know how things will change next year. But your flight and visa is covered, especially if the bank says it's going to cover it. It usually would typically be covered. Bank of America, that I know for Bank of America, depending on the location.
All right, thank you so much, Chidera, for that
And yeah,
answer.
the second question was asking if you need to have a maximum amount of money.
Yes.
Um, No, you don't need to. I think it would, that question is tying into, oh, what amount of money do you need to have before you can travel? I think you don't need to have any maximum amount of money. But if there was an advice that I wish I had gotten from somebody before I traveled, it would have been, oh, try to probably convert some money. That's after you, of course, know that you're traveling. The advice
Mhm.
I would have appreciated if I got was, oh, try to convert some amount of money that you have, or probably have like £50 somewhere in your hands that you can use to that you can spend in your first week at least before you get your grounding. But no, you don't need to have a maximum amount of money. I think that that's even like the much later stage. Right now, everybody should be focused on passing higher view and then getting to
Yeah.
assessment center and actually getting the offer. So
All
yeah,
right. Thank you
that's
for
it.
the advice. Thank you for telling us what did not tell you. Really appreciate it. Anyways, Aisha asked the question. I think I can answer this one. Is it possible to apply to more than two organizations? Yes, please. It's possible. Because if one does not give you, the second one might give you. And if eventually, by some luck, your prayers were answered and both organizations gave you, or yeah, give you internship, you can pick the one that is more suitable and the one that has a better offer. That's it. Joanne, I think I've answered Joanne's question. What other clubs? She joined HISEC. Yes. Emmanuel, I've answered your question. Can you apply for more than one internship program? Yes, you can. Question for Ore. Ore, please unmute your mic. So this question says, aside from joining TIS, what did you exactly take, or what did it exactly take to bring out your underlying passion for finance? Or please answer that question if you heard me.
Okay, so
Or a one
Yes,
minute
right.
too.
Yes, okay. So I know I mentioned that right from when I was little, I was always listening to the news and all. So those were like the blooming stages for my passion. But generally, seeing what is taught in class play out in the world was like my biggest motivation to actually now learn this finance properly. Because if you are seeing inflation, interest rate, foreign exchange, you're reading it in theory on paper and you're seeing it play out in the real world. That's where my passion actually developed from.
All right. There's another, or there are other questions from for you, rather. Okay. Please, I'm coming. Somebody asked about investment banking. Okay, exactly. So, Mariam is asking, what advice would you give to someone who has an interest in IB but as a beginner? Or a few seconds.
Okay, so investment banking. Now, the thing is, investment banking is very interesting. Most of the firms you want to apply to, most of the firms that actually offer these programs and sponsor these programs are investment banks. And where does investment bank, or where do investment banks play? They play in the financial markets, or mostly the capital markets. So having a good understanding of how the capital market is a very good start. So generally, I would say look for courses on capital markets. You can get them on Udemy. You can also even watch YouTube videos and TikTok. I don't really advise or recommend this, but it helped me. So I think it would help any other person. TikTok has a way of really ensuring that you learn something. If you program in the right, if you search for the right things, it will definitely keep bringing stuff relating to it. So yeah, understand the capital market. It will tell you how investment bank work in the financial sector, how people relate with investment bank clients, businesses, and institutions.
All right. Thank you so much for that. All right. Chedera, this question is for you because the many questions that are here for Amina, and you people that are asking CIS questions, if I catch you guys, you people don't let me talk. Chidera, please. This question says that in the same bank, can you apply for different roles in the same application year?
Hi, everyone. Okay, so for that question, Jibola, yes, you can, depending on the bank. So the
Yeah.
person is asking, can you apply for different roles within the same bank, right?
Yes,
Let me be
within the
sure
same
that I get the
application year.
question. Within the same application year, yes, depending on the bank. Let me
Yeah.
put it in context. For Bank of America, if you're applying for EMEA roles, that's Europe, Middle East, Africa roles, you
Mm-hmm.
only have one application. So you have to make it your best shot to get for Bank of America. Goldman Sachs will typically allow you to apply to up to
Okay.
three different, combination of location and role.
Yeah.
So for Goldman Sachs, you can apply to say operations in New York, operations in London, and then maybe client services or
In one
risk
African
in
country.
you get in another location, right? Maybe Amsterdam or somewhere else, you get. So you can afford to do that for Goldman Sachs, even as an EMEA applicant. That's an applicant who is in Europe, Middle East, Africa. But for BlackRock, I know you can apply to up to two as well, either two or three as well. But for Bank of America, like I said, you only have one application. So yes, it is possible for you to apply to more than one division or location
Mm,
within a particular year, but it depends on the bank. So you really want to know what the company offers you or the firm is offering you before you hit submit on your application. But I can tell you for fact, Bank of America, you have just one, so you might want to make it your best shot.
all right. Thank you so much. The person that asked that question, please, I hope you take note. Okay. I'm not. Please kindly unmute your mic. So, from my president table to you people that are asking CIS question, kindly send an email to the HR. Yes. So, if your application, whatever was not responded to, if your document was not converted, please send an email to the HR. Thank you so much. So, Aminat, this question is for you. The question says that I'm very interested in applying to global markets, but I don't have direct experience working in the markets. What step would you recommend I take to strengthen my application and demonstrate my potential for success in this division? So the person is just basically saying she's very interested in global market, but she has little experience in the markets, but she wants to strengthen her application. So what can she do to increase and demonstrate her potential for the success in that division? I mean, did you get that question?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I did get the question. So yeah, I think I'll just list about four resources in which you can use. So
Okay.
first off, if you don't have practical experience about the market, I think that's very, very fine. So, but you don't just want to stop there. You want to make sure that you're taking courses. There's this course on FMDQ on fixed income and currencies. You should take those kind of free courses if you don't have, maybe you don't have resources to pay for like the paid ones. Then you can look at websites like CFI, CFA Institute, Investopedia. Investopedia is like my best friend concerning anything market, financial terms. So you need to like make sure you're using that. Then also podcasts, like FT News Briefing, Market Maker, and the likes like that. So you want to make sure that you're listening to podcasts. You don't just want to say because you don't have practical experience, you can't discuss or learn about the market, right? So those will kind of provide you the same opportunity as you're learning the theoretical aspect and you can relate to the fundamentals of market. So you're not at a disadvantage in that sense, right? Then I think finally you should just make sure that you're speaking with a lot of people as much as possible, know what you're kind of interested in, take a lot of simulations, right? Like Amplify Me, trading simulation, and all that kind of, there are a lot of simulations on Forage, right? So these banks, they kind of have a lot of simulations that you can actually take to actually understand if you're actually fit for the market or it's your long-term, let's say, fit. So you just want to stop because you're interested and you don't get anything practical. You should just like, there's tons of resources. I didn't have a market experience before I got the role, but like you were able to what do I call it, display the understanding of the role if you kind of know these fundamentals from maybe taking courses as well as speaking to people. So yeah, that would help you.
Okay, Amina, thank you for that. Please do not unmute your mic yet and do not have your camera yet. There's a question here for you. Okay, somebody was asking, is there any specific knowledge or skill that one must have for any kind of internship or work in a company?
Hmm. I think generally the skill sets that you need is going to be really different depending on the kind of roles you're applying to and the kind of banks, firms that you're interested in. But the basic ones that you should have is people skill. A lot of these businesses, they are like people driven kind of businesses, clients driven businesses. So you need to have the basic skills to kind of work in teams, to kind of relate to people. So you might be working in a client facing role, for example, and
Mm-hmm.
global markets is a really client facing role. So you need to make sure that you're having people skills, like behavioral skill. Majority of the interviews that you do, your interview, there you get a lot of behavioral questions. Your assessment center, you get a lot of behavioral questions. So you're trying to see if you are a very good fit for them because you as an employee, you can't just say something and maybe just have a slip up outside, and people are like, "Oh, this is an employee of, let's say, Bank of America, for example." So I mean, it just sounds bad to them. So if you kind of have that basic people skill, the other ones are things that you can work around, right? So make sure that you know how to relate to people. There's some things that you don't say to people in a professional setting. That a lot of things actually. So some of these slip ups are things that you would say unintentionally, maybe during your interview, and you'll be able to pick that, oh, okay, this candidate is a no for us, or this candidate is certainly someone we want to go with. So your interview is much more beyond you just answering questions. It's much more beyond you just them just watching your body language. It's more about how you can relate to people. So from your responses, they can get to know you, right? So I would say yeah, the basic skill, know how to relate with people, make sure that you're just up to date about their people style, their culture, right? So those are the things that people kind of really look out for.
All right. Okay, Samuel, your question is a lot, but we're going to try to answer them. So, Amina, I I really really need to like I need you to answer these questions as fast as possible. Right. So this person asks a lot of questions, but let's see how it goes. Now this question says he is a part-time student. So is there a discrimination when it comes to part-time students getting internship?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, right? I
Mm-hmm.
haven't seen any kind of discrimination in that sense. So a lot of these friends are always like big on diversity and the like. So I don't even think you being a part-time student is something that they will take as a big thing. So it's
Okay.
like if you're from Nigeria, you're from Nigeria. If you're from University of Lagos, you're from University of Lagos. So there's nothing that states that no part-time students are allowed. So far your graduation date meets the requirements that they're kind of asking for, there's
Mm-hmm.
no big deal. Like that's just it. Like make
Okay.
make sure you're meeting the requirements, maybe grade requirements, maybe duration, program requirements, let's say visa requirements, for example. So if you meet those criteria, honestly, there's nothing that stops you from getting the opportunity, and you should like display your skill, your understanding, and the like. So you'll be good to go.
So this same person is asking, how does the company then support interns in their career development after the internship ends?
Hmm. Okay, tough one. But I would say directly and indirectly, right? So indirectly, you have networked with people inside the bank, outside the bank, in different areas of the bank. So you don't stop talking to these people because your internship is over, right? So these are people that can help you with your personal development as well as your professional development in the long run. So let's say you have a resource or you worked on something small, you can always send it to them. Oh, I worked on this, and in the lessons, I just need to know your feedback. Or I just want to hear from you. What do you think about this and the likes like that? So that's like lifelong mentorship. You don't just have to stop talking to people because you finished your internship, right? So that's one. Then directly, like there are a lot of resources provided to, let's say, employees of the bank or previous employees of the bank too, in terms of you have access to their employees, like their current employees, right? And um generally I would just say it's just the work of people you meet outside and inside the bank, right? So you don't just want to stop talking with them, and from them you can get to know about let's say future opportunities in bank and the likes like that. So you're not losing out at all.
Okay, that's good. So, Samuel, concerning the platforms or network you want to source for internship offers, we are going to the PR is going to send that to the group chat. She has already cooked up a link. Then, can you give a short description of how a competent CV should look like? I think this is going to take time. So, I mean, do you think we should take this question or we should just give it to them being asked tomorrow?
Generally, I'll just like talk briefly on it, right?
Okay.
So, different firms have like different things they're looking out for in your CV, but I'll say the thing that cuts across board is like a well formatted, a neat CV, right? So there can be different formats, CV templates, and all like that. You just want to make sure that everything is looking as perfect as it can be, right? So your experiences, your formatting, your date, everything, just these little details that you might just overlook. Oh, something, maybe this bullet point is not aligning here. I mean, you can overlook it because maybe it's just your CV, right? But you're sending it out to these people that sees, let's say, thousands or let's say hundreds of CVs across the internship period. They would definitely be able to spot out the good ones and the bad ones, and that's something that you can use to sell yourself better, because I mean it's like attention to details. So you need to like be able to like point that
Mhm.
out. But then the other categories, how you place your CVs, how you place your skills, I think that's a discussion for another day. But like the
Okay.
basic one that you should have is just the formatting. It has to just be really good.
All right. Taiwo, you asked that do one need to have an internship? Jesus, I'm already used to saying internship. Do one need to already have an international passport before applying for global internships? Yes, you need to have an international passport, or it must be in the works during that period of the application. I mean, it was one of the reasons why I didn't even finish one application because Nigeria happened to me. They postponed my this thing. God will never forgive them. Amen.
Okay, so
Anyway,
I don't think I got like the full context of your question. Like, can you maybe?
no, I already answered it. Like the person
Okay,
was asking if we need an international passport before applying for global internship. I
okay.
mean, you need something to fly over there. So yes,
Yeah, but I mean, you don't need way when you're applying, but you know that that's something you need to have when you maybe get your offer. So immediately you're applying, it's best to start processing it so you
Yeah,
don't just, you just caught off guard and the like. So
that like within the application process, please, as you're applying for these, you've gotten your offer letter, please put it there. And one thing, Nigeria can happen to you. Please, they happened to me. I was supposed to get my passport, I think sometime in June, and no, I applied. Yeah, I applied for my passport in March. I was supposed to get it April, May, and then I was getting it since September. So yeah, I don't think you want that to happen to you. It's better to be safe than sorry. Taiwo, you were also asking a question. You said, is people's skills supposed to be learnt? I, I, I don't get that. But yes. You need to learn people's skill. I mean, you need to learn interpersonal skills. You need to learn a lot of skills, basically. Then you said, the global internships usually within the holidays. Some of them, I think. I mean, I know somebody that said, yeah, I mean, you can take that.
okay, so generally the applications come, let's say they open during the holidays. For example, right now
Mm-hmm,
applications are kind of open already, but it
mm-hmm,
doesn't mean that you would have to take the internship during holiday. Our school calendar doesn't work that way. So by the time you get
mm-hmm,
your offer, the time that the processing goes on and on, then by the time you have to finally resume, you probably be around exam period or maybe like sixth,
mm-hmm.
seventh week. So I mean, there's a lot of dynamics that comes into play, right? So that's now becoming, maybe you pray for luck, then or you start reaching out to people, try to know if you can write letter to your department, write letter to this, kind of maybe exclude you, then you come back to write your exams. I think that's basically what.
All right. You people are the questions you are asking is looking like ask Amina a question. You're asking about her lifestyle. Well, Amina, should I ask you the question? So somebody said how were you able to manage? I'm looking for that questions because there are a lot of questions here. Yes, what you said, how were you able to navigate and manage your time effectively? Wait, oh, don't answer yet, oh, because there's another similar question, so I want to match it. The person said, as a student, where is it? Exactly. So another person now asked that, how were you able to catch up with the classes and exams you missed? I think another person was asking me something again about you. Hmm. Coming on, coming. Okay, so I think that's all. They're just basically asking how you were able to navigate your time, how you were able to catch up with your classes and the exams you missed. I don't think you missed any exams. But let's go. I mean, your network, oh, we can't hear you. Okay, I think I'm having network issue. Hmm. You guys, I'm not having question. She's having network issues. So for those of you that want the courses she mentioned, she will send them to the group chat. Any other thing? I think that's all for the questions tonight. Thank you so much. But let's see if Amina's network is still working, if she can still unmute. Hmm. Can everybody hear me? All right. Thank you so much, Samiat. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. All right. So I think I'm not just okay. She rejoined. I'm not.
Yeah,
Is your
I
network
think
back on?
I think so. I think the Nigerian factor has kicked in. So I don't
Yeah.
know. You guys hear me?
Okay. So Amina, did you get my last question?
No, I don't think I did.
Somebody said how were you able to manage your time effectively? That's that as a student, how were you able to navigate and manage your time effectively? And another person wants to know how you were able to catch up with the classes and exams that you missed.
Okay. So I think the second part I would be able to answer that. Then the first part I would answer. Then catching up with exams. I think yeah, I did my exams before going. It's Chidera and Ore that had to
Yeah.
come back with the exams. So yeah, then the question about me prioritizing or how do I manage my,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah. So I think first off is just to have like a skeleton of what you want to do or what you want to achieve for that year. So there's CIS, there's your academics, there's like personal projects, there's like courses. There's a lot that you have to do. So you need to make sure that what you're prioritizing, which ones are the most important to you. So on a scale of like we put everything on a scale of preference, and I know everybody knows what scale of preference is. Something like a pyramid, though. So you kind of look at it. Oh, this is more important than this. Then you kind of allocate your time based on that. So for me, I think yeah, when I was applying, I was writing my ICANN exams. I was like, school exam was right at the corner, and there was TIS. There was a lot of things. But if the way I was able to do it, I was able to structure. Oh, which ones are like the immediate priorities? Which ones are the most important to me? So from that, I've been able to draft a plan that actually works for me. So I think that's the same thing for you too. So if you want to manage your time effectively, you need to be able to prioritize and know exactly what is the most more important to you guys. So yeah, and I won't be able to decide that for another person. I can only do it for myself because I shoot my schedule. I know what I want to do, right? But
Yeah,
you just need to know yourself better. Yeah.
I get. Oh, she just basically saying priority. You get. All right, so this is the last question I take, and I know that if I don't take this person question, she will appear in my dream and bite my head off. So this is Amarachi. I think she is going to invest in Ibadan. She's asking this is a question. She said that aside from belonging to a certain club like the investment society or like they have in Ibadan, the student finance club, or knowledge or one gains from degree. So she's just basically asking that what are the other steps you took to personally grow your knowledge base for a particular role? Like did you take courses and if you took them, can you share them? I know you've answered something similar to this, but can you just aim to like brush it up again, please?
Yeah, all right. I think yeah, I did mention a couple of them. So there are a lot
Yeah,
of
so
like
like they didn't get
resources.
them.
Yeah, let me just take it again. There are a lot of resources.
You guys should write
Investopedia,
them.
Investopedia, my top one. Then the CFI Institute. There is CFA Institute. There are a lot of like, let's say, documents, fundamental documents. Let's say you want to read about accounting, financial instruments. They're there. Then there's FMDQ. So they kind of offer some free courses on derivatives, fixed income and the likes. So yeah, thank you very much, Aurel Lua. Amplify me simulation. So they kind of do simulation for trading, asset management, and investment banking and the likes. So you want to try that out. Then
Right.
there's Forage for people that want to try virtual simulations
Job
of how some of these
simulation.
roles are. So I'm sure majority of us would know about it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and there are podcasts. So if you're not the reading type, so basically I love newsletters. So I kind of subscribe to a lot of newsletters that kind of follow like every day. So they're like maybe 3 minutes read, 5 minutes read, something like.
Yeah.
Then there are podcasts too. So some of these newsletters, like Amplify Me, I kind of read their newsletter too, and they have a podcast which is Market Maker. So you can check
Mm-hmm.
that out on Spotify, Apple Music, and the likes. So yeah, then CNBC. There's a lot. So you need to know what you're looking for in finance, what you're interested in finance, and there's definitely a resource that's kind of really tailored to that.
All
So
right.
there's Wall Street Oasis. For guys interested in investment banking, Wall Street Oasis is a really good place to go
Mhm.
whenever you need information and the likes like that. So
Thank you so much, Hamna, for that.
welcome.
All right. I want to believe we've all learned one thing. You cannot even learn one thing in this session. Like you should at least though you have learned 10 things. And you guys can see that MSA really loves you. They brought you a good thing. Our speakers also they didn't hold back, they didn't gatekeep. Can you please virtually give them a round of applause? Let me to clap. All right. So I was planning to end this by 8:30. Somebody was asking a question concerning local internship, and I intentionally did not take that question because I want you all to join back in tomorrow, plug in and come and listen to my people concerning local internships, how to apply their experiences, observations, and plugins. Anyways, thank you all for joining. It's such a pleasure hosting you. I had a lot of fun. I will not even lie. Thank you so much, my wonderful and amazing speakers. I love you all. I love you, my friends. I can't wait to. Yeah, I know, Aisha. I know it's you. Don't worry. Tomorrow we'll answer your question. Ah, I feel so fulfilled right now. Bye. I'm going to eat. Good night, everyone. Have a good night rest. Love ya.
Night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Good night. Love you all. Love you, MSA. Thank you so
Good
much.
night. Love you.
Good night. I
Bye.
love you, Chidera.
I shall go break your head. I'm joking.